Coach, what you gonna start with the burn ends? How's that working for you? The Shines BBQ,
Excellent.
1-on-1, and then what else? You got the newly formed chicken butt.
Chicken butt?
Yep, that is bacon. It's chicken wrapped in jalapeno and bacon.
Can't go wrong
See
with
what you
that.
think with that. How's that treating you? It's good stuff.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Just enough spice in there. Can't go wrong wrapping anything in bacon.
Bacon makes it better.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be butter, right? What's her name? Paula Dean. Well, this is Ike's. Bacon makes it better.
It's really good.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna have to make a trip to 5 sometime soon.
That's right. Coach, I appreciate you. We're going to get our video started here pretty soon, but we definitely had to get you to a taste test on some of this stuff right here.
Awesome.
All right, we are here live in Pisgah, Alabama with a very special young man. This young man right here, this great looking shirt on. We just got through eating some Shines BBQ. Coach Ellison right here at Pisgah High School is known statewide. He's by far and away one of the best coaches, male or female, basketball coaches in the state. Not only in my opinion, in everyone's opinion. We had an interview with him before, which my fault, got erased. So we're back here to do it again. And this one's by Shines. Before we get diving into this, Coach, how was that Shines BBQ?
That's some of the best food I've had in a while. The wings were great. Those new chicken
butts
with that jalapeno were awesome. The ends were good. I can't complain about anything.
Good stuff.
I have to make a trip to 5 and pick up some of that. Be worth your trip.
Absolutely, Coach. I appreciate you saying that. And thank you, Ike, for the sponsorship. Coach, this interview, we got about 30 minutes to do it, so we're going to dive right in. We want to know grassroots, Coach. Where you was born and raised, and what was that like for you as a child?
Raised in the big city of Flat Rock / Bryant / Higdon. We kind of slid around the North Sand Mountain area when I was a kid, but pretty much went to North Sand Mountain High School for everything but kindergarten, everything but first grade. So I was one of those bison for a long time. Played for Coach Glenn Hicks up there. So had a really good background from Glenn Hicks and Greg Strickland, who was Hall of Famer, state championship coach at section back in the 60s. They were my early mentors and kind of where I got the fever, I believe. Parents, mom worked third shift for all those years to make sure we had what we needed to. Dad was on first, so we're basketball, football, baseball, that's what we did. It was a good life. We might have been poor, but I didn't really know it because we were provided for, and there was a lot of they always made sure we were able to get where we needed to be.
That was a great quote by Randy Owens. Might have been cool if we didn't know.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, Coach, that was my next question. You kind of answered it right there. Sports was a big part of your life growing up, obviously. At what point in your career did coaching even come into play? Because a lot of people always think they're going to play all the way through the NBA or whatever. But when did it start creeping into your head that, hey, I think I could teach this?
It probably happened by accident. I can remember being in second, third grade and being a football manager. The coach Mike Tice from over around Hamilton area, he was head coach at North Sand Mountain when I was a young kid, and he just passed away a couple of weeks ago. But I remember helping them and then getting to play junior high basketball as a sixth grader. I never actually got on the court, but I got to practice every day. Went through the program with Coach Hicks and went to a tryout at Sneed one day. And that's when I realized being short and slow was probably not in very high demand for college basketball. So I said, I wish I hadn't have went, so I could have said I knew I could have. But it was really, somewhere along in there is when I figured out I needed to do something different. Went to work in construction for a little while. Didn't take me about a week to figure out.
That was my next office and say.
And put me on top of an elevator shaft with a jackhammer that weighed more than I did. So at the end of that day, I said, "Bring my check to me. I'm going back to school."
So what? How old were you when that took place?
I was probably 19 years old. I went to our local community college for a year. Didn't care a whole lot about school, so I thought I need to work a while. It didn't take long to figure out
This and that,
the real world. Manual labor was not for me. So got back in school and just really went at it. I was attending 2 or 3 colleges at the same time. Back in those days, it wasn't online either. I would drive from Northeast to Jacksonville to Athens all in the same week, trying to get classes done.
To get them knocked out.
And
Man.
went for my first job interview and was told that didn't have any jobs. They were sending me down the road to Macedonia to apply down there. I lived in Bryan, Alabama. It's about 50 miles from
Wow,
Macedonia.
one way.
And I drove through Pisgah, and Mr. Billy Shelton was sitting in that old school, and I went in and talked to him for a little bit. He said, "I don't have anything, but let me get your number." When I left here, I was going back to work because there wasn't any jobs locally. Before I got home, he had called and
Really?
created opportunity as an aide. I was an aide for a semester, and I've been teaching and coaching ever since. It's about 33 years now.
So let me get this straight. You dropped by here by chance. Went in there just to see. Basically throwing something against the wall, hoping it sticks. He gets your number, and before you got home, he called you.
It's about a 23-minute drive home. I got to 71 and took a left, heading back towards Iders, where I lived at that time. And I walked back in Mom's house, and she said, "There's a man named Billy Shelton called you and said he needed you to come back and see him, that he had you a job."
That is insane.
And I'm a North Sand Mountain boy coming to Pisgah, Alabama.
That just makes it even more insane.
If you'd have told me in 1984 I was going to be coaching at Pisgah, I would have thought you were a lunatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
It's kind of like Hatfields and McCoys in a way. That is unreal. So, all right. So when you got here, did you say you did start coaching immediately?
I started coaching. I walked right out on the football field with Coach Freddie Kidmore, coached football with him, coached baseball with Coach Dwight Griffith, whose field's named after, and coached basketball with Coach Steve Dearman. I had my plate loaded down. Was a
So you
special
did all three
education
sports.
aide.
Okay.
Yeah, all 3 sports. And I did just 1 year of baseball, state football and basketball for a couple of more years, and then ended up eventually just doing JV boys basketball until that job, the girls' job, came open. It was like, I don't really want to coach girls, but one of the parents said, "You need to apply." I said, "Well, they didn't ask me." Well, that's not the way this works.
Yeah.
You want something around here, you got to let it be known.
That's
So
right.
I went and saw the principal, and an hour later, I was the girls' coach.
All right. So this is where it starts getting good. This is where the twist and the plot comes in. So knowing what you have done now, which is 700, 800 total wins, counting boys, correct?
It's 700,
700
plus.
Yeah. Somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah. How many overall state championships now?
8.
8 state championships. Could you ever halfway envision that? Or would you have laughed if somebody had come to you back then and said, "You're going to win 700 games, you're going to win 8 state championships, regardless"? What would you have said to them?
It sounds like a fantasy.
Fantasy land.
And that first year when we were setting 1-4. Opened our season with getting blown out by Coach Simpson and the Geraldine Bulldogs. I was thinking, what have I done?
What have I stepped into?
I was a hero as a JV boys coach because I'd always had great players and 1-on-1 and 22. Step in the girls and they're 1-4, and it's like, okay, where am I going to go now? That's when the players kicked in. That's when ended up winning the state championship there in '97, that very first year. I always said set the bar high, maybe a little too high for a long time because you don't always have those athletes. That's what I've learned over the last year. No matter how good you are as a coach or how bad you are as a coach, if you've got players, you're going to be able to be more competitive and playing comparison games, comparing one player, a 14-year-old to a Molly Hurd.
Yeah.
This is not fair to the younger kids trying to make those comparisons. So I was fortunate, had Whitney Ballard at the time. She was a big-time leader for that team. And when it got clutch time, she took over, and everybody, Randy Coger and that whole bunch, they fell right in line. They all did their part. And it was a thrill of a lifetime, but then it seemed like it took forever to get back.
Right. Now, when you won like that so quick, did you, in your own head, think, "Oh, I've arrived, I'm here," or was you still learning on the go? Or being that young and winning one like that had to be a boost in your mentally.
Yeah, I don't know, I was 24 years old, I guess, 25.
I couldn't imagine. And winning the state.
And I knew, I was pretty self-aware that the girls carried me through the end.
Gotcha.
I was not ready, but by the end, I had found my groove, found out how to make things. I quit coaching girls and started coaching basketball. That makes sense. That's what
Great quote.
happened last in that year. But I did realize I got to learn a lot more because everybody, varsity level, there are no bad coaches around here.
That's right.
And it just gets more and more competitive every year.
That's right.
These young guys are really into the game. They study full time. Basketball junkies. Not sure I'm still a basketball junkie. I was at 23 years old.
Now, when you look at the state of girls basketball now, I've never seen it like it is now. We're talking about star power. As much when we post and stuff on girls, it gets more than the guys. I mean, you never thought that'd be possible, but now it seems like the game has evolved and changed. Which, in all due respect, it should, because these ladies work their tails off. I tell you that, obviously. But when you see the state of basketball now, girls basketball in the state of Alabama, as opposed to when you started, how much difference is there?
The difference is coaching, for sure. And over the last, say, 6 to 8 years, lots of personal training getting involved. The players are becoming better athletes. They're also getting lots of one-on-one and small group training, so their basketball skill levels are going up. And more often, the coaches want to be there. Back in the 90s, even early 2000s, a lot of times the girls' basketball coach was the extra football coach that needed a supplement. And now it's taken pretty seriously all across the state. Those things don't happen very much. They don't happen at all in North Alabama. Everyone, girls basketball, girls sports in general has blown up, and hopefully we can protect it and keep everything going in the right direction, because there's some of the most entertaining games we're going to see are girls team, and I'll watch our game with Spring Garden from time to time and forget some of the great plays and the great situations that took place in that game.
Coach.
The crowd went
The whole JSU full to the rafters both years.
In a 2A basketball,
Oh,
girls basketball game.
I've never seen a hype on a girls event like that. Those games. The only way to compare it, people may laugh when I say this, but I'm just telling you, I sit through both of these when I'm about to. It was that Piedmont versus 5. You knew it was happening. It was that vibe, and it delivered. I mean, when you see things like that, when you go into a game, let's talk about those games. When you go into a game like that, and you know, all right, motto, this is going to be execution's going to win this game, and you're facing somebody like Ricky. What is your mindset?
Ricky makes you do your best. He makes you coach your best. He makes you prepare because you know he knows your team inside out. He knows his. They know the game so well. His players know the game. So I just wanted it to stay, kind of stay out of the way and let the players take care of the business, do all the preparation that we could beforehand. And, we were fortunate enough to have, Molly Hurd going against Ace. Molly is a senior and a junior, and Ace is still relatively young. Our role players really came through for us. Big shots in that 2022 year with Buckle and Wheeler. Of course, Tinker put us in overtime in the 21 year with her big shot. Barron taking the charge on Ace to give us the ball back with a chance to win. There's a lot of big plays. Bella Bobo still and Leia from 3-point play. From the role players, I think that's what comes to my mind the most. Is, we had these two stars going head to head, but each team's role players had to really produce in order for us to win.
Yeah.
Ace and Molly could probably play one-on-one all day and probably split. But role players came through.
That would be fun to watch. You sell tickets to that. But then, you win both of those games, but there's no letdown. You go in 22, I thought you just went, no disrespect, you might have dominated.
Yeah. When Spring Garden went back to 1A, there was a strange kind of pressure because when I looked down the line, I saw someone in the finals. It was going to be a private school like St. Luke's, or you hadn't had a big over there and some guards to go with it. But that's, there wasn't a giant roadblock between here and there. So that had a special kind of pressure not to mess it up. Just make sure the kids were always dialed in and able to get there. And once we were in, of course, that one year we had to go through midfield. That was a bigger challenge than anybody could really imagine. But when we went through midfield for 2 years, and that last one was, it just made it pretty special. I guess that we were able to handle the pressure for so long.
You did a tremendous job of that. Coach, one good thing I like just watching your teams, man, they play with a lot of class. They play the game the right way. When you hear people say that about your program, your team, how does it make you feel? Because I'm just echoing what I hear and see.
Well, that's one of the things we really want our kids to know is they're not just representing themselves when they go out. And, while we all let our emotions get the best of us sometimes, and we maybe display it in an outward way that's not always positive, I really want the girls to realize it's about Pisgah, it's about their families, and if someone's going to be making a show out there, it needs to be me and not them. Let me be the one that's talked about for being arrogant or whatever it is. Whatever the negative is, let it be me, not them.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
For the most part, that happens. Again, kids are kids. They get caught up in games, and they're going to make mistakes like everybody else. But I am proud of them for, we faced a lot of adversity this past year. Played good teams, and they beat us. But thankfully, to my knowledge, we didn't show any negative sportsmanship. I think we forgot the county tournament trophy out at Skyline. Somebody made a big deal about that, but it was, nobody wants second place. It wasn't an intentional thing, disrespect to anyone. Skyline was better than us. There was no doubt. So, that was perceived negatively, but it was not intentional and not meant to disrespect Skyline or the county or anything else. Things happen.
It happens. I think I do recall something about that. Somebody messaged me about it or something. Again, I don't get involved. But all right. So now, at this point in your career, how do you self-evaluate? When you look at yourself at the end of every season, all the good coaches, and I know you probably do it as well, they look at themselves, how I'm doing at this point in my career.
This year it took a lot of self-evaluation because I was on that yo-yo. I'd go from boys to girls to boys to girls, and the emotional swings took its toll. Because early on the boys were struggling coming out of football. Girls were playing pretty solid. There was time on that flipped, and then we both ended up finishing relatively strong. Not like we wanted to finish, but finishing relatively strong. But I see a lot of just little details that I know we've got to get better. We've got to correct game situations, learning how to handle certain types of pressure that we just couldn't handle last year. And making sure, I think the biggest thing that I've learned in this is our communication's got to improve. We always had lots of seniors before, and last year we didn't have but two, and they were good leaders, but our communication on the floor is not what it usually is because of the inexperience. So I started evaluating. It's mostly evaluating myself, and then start rolling around this summer, figuring out how we're going to put the puzzle together for next year.
That was bringing me to my next point. Having a season like you did, it's probably refreshing. I'm not saying that in a negative way. You won so many titles in a row. To have can you breathe again, Coach? And how does this summer look different than these other summers?
Well, I hope it just changes perspective. We played tight. We played, with a target on us. And I told them constantly, you're getting everybody's best game.
Oh, yeah.
And you're still going to get their best game. And when some teams beat us, it's like they've won the state championship. And so hopefully,
what you want as a coach, then, right?
Yeah, it's an honor to have pressure. It's an honor to have expectations. But hopefully we realize we can refocus now because we're not the favorite. We're not going into this with a date with Spring Garden on the calendar. We've got to earn our way into the playoffs. We've got to figure out how to handle our local teams just to get in. So that will be refreshing. Seeing if I can work from the underdog side.
That's a whole different coaching style.
Well, we tried to use it anyways. Even when we had Annie Hughes and Molly Hurd, we were still using the disrespected card. But
were they looking at you as coach?
Like, you don't think we can win? No, I know we can win. I just don't want you to
think we've already won.
Take anything for granted. Don't be complacent and think that it's going to happen just because. But now it's legit. And we took our lumps to Ider over and over. They were better than us. Was looking forward to the final of the region to give it one more shot, but we couldn't handle the net size.
That was
it was a
6'2",
struggle.
6'3", you had two of them?
Well, they had 4 over 6, and one of them was 6'6", and one about 6'4", and we didn't get many rebounds, and we didn't make enough shots. That eventually also did Ider in as well. They didn't make enough shots, and I think any other day besides that weekend, both of us would have taken care of them.
Yeah,
but shots didn't fall. And their size mattered. They had enough guard play to take care of it. So.
Just enough.
So this turnaround, trying to start all over, it's gonna be interesting. We'll be solid. We're looking for them key role players like we've had. Said Peter, Lobo, Barron, Holcomb, all those that came through when the pressure was on. Yeah. That's who we're looking for. We'll be solid up front, first 5 or 6. Who's going to be 7, 8, and 9? Who's going to get the job done there? So,
Coach, you mentioned something earlier that I thought was interesting, and I could be wrong on this. Do you ever remember it? Because you said to have to take care of our local teams. Mm-hmm. Do you ever remember a time when there were so many good girls teams in North, Northeast, North Central Alabama?
The ages of the teams right now is what I guess blows my mind the most. You go to a high school game around here and a player will make a play and everybody's hollering, she's a freshman. But every team's loaded with freshmen, loaded with sophomores. I mean, you go to Plainview and you got Hogan. Go to Ider and you got Smith and Traylor. Tallis and Anderson and Barron. Go down the road section, they're starting all freshmen. There's so many young, great players. And so it's like kind of that cheer everybody does kind of lost its effectiveness because when every player on the team, most of Ider's team was all freshmen and they were super. It's like, okay, so was everybody else on the field. We're going to have to come up with something new.
That's true, though. And I'm not talking about contributors. I'm talking about stars.
There's not a better player, another better point guard around here than McKinley Traylor. There's not a better. Ace Austin is still just a sophomore going into his junior year. I'm very confident in my 3 freshmen. Hogan's amazing. Probably going to, if she shoots at the pace she is, like earlier, she probably will set the state 3-point record if she keeps at her pace. Laney Smallwood.
Holly Butler.
Yeah, now we're getting, it's kind of a little out of our range as local players, but, they're still, watch those girls play. Everybody's so good and so young. So
it's incredible. I think it shows where it's trending.
When you really start to spread that out, you can get over at Mars Hill.
Oh yeah, with
Bell and Ella Watts, and
she's 12. She's 12.
New Hope has
Jada
and Yarborough. I mean, they're everywhere. Young, great players. So
the good thing is, Coach, you're just starting your career, so you get to see how this develop.
Yeah, I'm just starting. We don't know when it's going to end, but
you just get going with it. I'm gonna ask you a few more that I know you got practice coming up, and we're gonna have to shut this one down. We just mentioned the state of girls basketball, where it's at with all these young players. What do you contribute that to? Do you think it's the girls going out working on their own, getting good trainers, the AAU service? What do you think? What do you think it's a combination of all?
It's got to be a combination. I notice the legacy players.
Yes.
Like Bell Hill's mom was a great player, gave us a state runner-up, and her aunt, Amber Rutherford, and they were all great. Whenever, I think that one generation is fading off the last, or something because they stay in the gym, you know, and they're very versatile. You know, all our kids play multiple sports, which, you know, I think that's one of the best things they can do because in reality, high school is a very short period of time, so they should enjoy as much of this before they have to go to real life. But our kids spend a lot of time with trainers. They spend a lot of time playing, you know, the better ones play all spring and all summer, which has its ups and downs, has its pros and cons.
Get some bad habits.
Yeah.
Some places.
We bring them back in and have to make them realize, hey, you know, you don't have to shoot it every time. You will get it back. We're going to play a set where, you know, we're going to share it as much as we can. But yeah, it's probably the combination. Girls getting more and more exposure also.
Gotcha.
You know, driving a lot of that because, you know, 20 years ago, you didn't hear much about, you know, girls basketball till it got to Birmingham.
I graduated in '97, and I remember if you could just dribble normal and was kind of fast, get a layup, you was a star. That ain't the case now. And now they got girls doing Euro steps and step backs and behind the back and no look passes, and I mean it's just a different planet.
It's definitely different from those early '90s. Pretty much in those days, if you got off of Sand Mountain, you got out of Jackson, DeKalb County, and you got to Jacksonville, you were going to win the state.
Yep. Everybody's good at five.
Five did it repeatedly, and their toughest games were Geraldine. The toughest game was Crossville. They all had
right here in the backyard.
Right in the backyard. You know, and the same thing could have been said for softball in our early days. They were playing Idaho in state championships over and over. And so it's
Coach, it ain't that far from it now, honestly. I mean, like, listening to what you've done here, I mean, it's if you can get out of the north now, it seems like you got more than a puncher's chance of winning it.
Yeah, and in the south, you give them credit. They've closed the gaps. A lot of it due to the private schools, but also they're not just hiring football coaches to coach basketball in the south either. So, you know, they're getting better and better, and it's just make for better basketball statewide.
Two-part question on this, and then we're going to shut this down. What's better about the game now, and what's worse about the game? What's something you like now more about the game, and what's something you dislike?
I like the skill level being higher. And in the beginning, people would ask what the difference in boys and girls is, coaching them, and it would be like, okay, girls may not be able to do what you ask them to do, but they're going to put all effort in and try. But now their skill level's high.
Get that right.
And with boys, you know, they probably could do it and would. So I like that the girls' skill level has stepped up quite a bit. I guess what I don't like is it's really hard to say.
I know something a lot of coaches tell us. There's so many distractions with kids. It's different. It's a different. Now, when they're dialed in, they're dialed in. Yeah. But getting them dialed in now, and so much stuff going on.
That's probably
is that up on your list?
Getting the mid-level player, someone that can contribute and be that role player we've talked about, getting them to buy in and doing it.
Gotcha.
And that, you know, it's much harder because they just, like I said, I'll have 2 or 3 after work. Now, you know, it's not that they want to work; they have to work, and you know, so they're not in the gym as much. Or we'll have some that are spread real thin. I mean, I'm for multiple sports, but sometimes it's too much. So getting those role players, it's easy to get somebody to want to be the star. It's hard to get somebody to want to wave a towel, swap hand water, going for 2 minutes and getting 3 or 4 rebounds.
That's right.
It's hard to find those.
Rest a star.
It's hard to find those, but when you do, you've got the
true.
secret potion right there.
That's right.
It's not just the stars; it's the ones that are willing to pay that price and do the dirty work.
That's right. And everything needs it. Coach, I cannot shut this video down. The red jacket. He told me the story. Please tell all our listeners. And those who don't know, he wears
1996, 1997 team, the very first girls team I coached. We had a Christmas party, and they bought me a bright red, fire engine red, the right color red, scarlet, sport coat for Christmas. And come tournament time, I had to put it on. And ever since then, with a couple of exception years, every time we get into the playoffs, I would wear that red jacket. And over the last 7 to 10 years, it's just been for the finals. So it's in a little shadow box right now, and it'll stay there till we make it to another state championship game, or I guess not be there yet. I don't know.
I had to ask, Coach, because that one right there. I've had people ask me about it, and I'm like, Coach, tell me the story, but I'm gonna let him tell you guys. And you did on our other interview, and it got erased. So
it's all it's solid wool. Gosh, it's hot.
I bet you. I bet you it is. My goodness, I bet you it's burning up. Yeah. Well, Coach, we're gonna shut this down. You got the girls coming in for practice right now, and I appreciate you taking time out. And appreciate Shines BBQ for hooking us up with something to eat. And Coach, good luck to you this summer, and we will be catching up with you this summer. We're gonna come watch some of you guys play days and get some of the photographers out and stuff.
We'll be down at Supreme Court pretty much every Thursday with every team we got. So appreciate what y'all do, and I appreciate what they try to do down there to give us opportunities to not spend as much money and still get good competition on the local level. And there's been
those guys do a good job.
Yeah, they're doing great.
It's neutral ground.
Yeah.
Coach, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Sir.